All right, hey, what's up, everybody? Mike Lindsley here with you at the Syracuse Crunch Game with my man Ryan W. Hanlon from Howard Hanna Real Estate, a proud sponsor of the ML Sports Platter. I'm going to get into Alexander Ovechkin scoring his 700th goal today. But Ryan, I wanted to bring you in quick. Tell my listeners about what you're doing here and, you know, buying and selling homes in Central New York. You're on a roll right now. You can help my clients, my listeners, my viewers.
Sure, thanks, Mike. So we're here tonight at the Crunch. We're doing a raffle. We've got 4 Crunch tickets to any game of your choice, Crunch jersey, or you can enter to win a $100 Wegmans gift card.
A lot of subs and pizza at Wegmans.
Jackie McCall's here from Liberty Mutual giving that gift card away. And really right now what we're trying to do is inform people, let them know that there are less houses on the market than there have been in the last 3 years. Sale prices are higher than they have been in the last 3 years, but money is cheap to borrow. So right now interest rates are so low, it's really a great time to buy.
And you're a couple weeks away. Kitty Hoyne, St. Baldrick's fighting children's cancer. Everybody's been connected to cancer. We know kids that are fighting. I have a dear friend of mine who passed about 20 years ago from it. That's a great cause, and people can donate now to get to the goal.
They can, yeah. You can find a link on my Facebook page. I'm growing out this beard here to help fund childhood cancer research. Most of the money that's received from American Cancer Society actually goes to fund adult cancers. Pediatric cancers only had about 2 or 3 new medicines that have been developed in the last 20 or 30 years. And so every year I raise money to help awareness and research primarily for children's pediatric cancer through St. Baldrick's.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Ryan W. Hanlon, Howard Hanna Real Estate. Thanks for your support of the ML Sports Platter. I'll let you get back out to the booth and I'll keep talking because, well, that's really all I do, right?
Yeah, so, thank you.
All right, very cool. Let's talk a little Alexander Ovechkin again. Make sure you buy and sell homes with Ryan W. Hanlon of Howard Hanna Real Estate. Make sure you visit his website, ryanwhanlon.com. And, of course, your team, your town, your realtor with Ryan W. Hanlon of Howard Hanna Real Estate. The Syracuse Crunch up right now at the end of the first period. I want to get into is I have a Sabres jersey across from me. I think go Buffalo. I love the Sabres, but you know it's tough times these days with the Sabres. But could you imagine for 1 second, growing up, I'm 40 years old, could you imagine for a second watching Wayne Gretzky obliterate records, goals, assists, and points, and being at a point in time in 2020, well after the great one has retired, that there's an actual opportunity, there's an actual chance that Alexander Ovechkin could break the all-time goal-scoring record. Think about that for a second. We never, ever, ever could have thought about this years ago. 2008, 2010, 2012, 13, 14. But now we're here in 2020, and today, Alexander Ovechkin scored his 700th goal against the New Jersey Devils. In typical OV fashion, he ripped a shot from the right side. Now listen, normally on the power play, Ovechkin is setting up, and I'm not a hockey guy in terms of playing. I've never skated. I have no idea what I'm doing. But normally, and I can break down the game, of course, from the left point of the power play, that's where Ovi is going to be remembered forever. We're going to be talking about him for 80, 90, 100 years from now. He is the absolute best in hockey from the left point, looking at it this way, diagonally across, pass across, big-time slap shot in. Today, for his 700th goal, he scored from the right point, and it was a beauty. I mean, just an absolute ringer into the net. And now, the guy gets to 700 goals. It didn't really take him that long when he was inching towards it. When he was at 692, 695, 698, they started really promoting it. It only took a couple of games for him to get to 700 goals. And now, we're in an opportunity, we're at a place where Alexander Ovechkin could be the all-time goal scorer in the history of the NHL. This actually could happen, something I never thought could happen years ago. When I look at the future right now for Alexander Ovechkin, it's going to come down to 3 things. Number 1, it's going to be about the guys who surround him for the Washington Capitals. You are as good as your team. No matter what sport you play, Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player ever, but he didn't really win championships and solidify himself until they got Scottie Pippen. You take a look at John Elway. John Elway was making absolute hell for the Cleveland Browns, getting to the Super Bowl over and over and over again. Great success, amazing yards, running, hybrid quarterback. But when did he win these rings? When did he win? He won them when Terrell Davis was the running back of the Denver Broncos. When you take a peek at the other players in the NHL, Mark Messier, Wayne Gretzky, they've all had help along the way. Alex Ovechkin has won a Stanley Cup as well already, as we know, which was the last thing that he needed for the resume. But in terms of scoring goals, he needs help from his team. He needs big-time power play guys. He needs the John Carlsons. He needs the Backstroms. He needs the TJ Oshis to put the puck on net so that he can put the puck, in the net off of the goalie pad. Alexander Ovechkin, to me, is the greatest goal scorer of all time, and that's coming from a guy who grew up with Wayne Gretzky. The first few games that I saw as an NHL fan when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, the Edmonton Oilers were the #1 dynasty in hockey, and I think when you look at all time, I think you got to look at that 1980s Edmonton Oilers team as being the #1 dynasty ever. And I know a lot of Canadian fans could get really upset at me right now, but let's face facts. This dynasty rules. This 80s dynasty with the Edmonton Oilers, Gretzky, Messier, Paul Coffey, Tikkanen, Grant Fuhr, on and on and on it goes with all the great players. Those guys all benefited from great play on the power play with Hall of Fame, all-star type players. I think if Ovechkin can keep getting those guys to feed him the puck on the point, he could actually get to 725, 750 very quickly, and we could actually get to 800 in 2022. It's very possible. Now listen, Alexander Ovechkin, he has a few years left to play. He's played a ton of games. He's been in a lot of playoff games through the Stanley Cup run. He played in a ton of games as well. Remember the old 16 W signs to win the Stanley Cup. But this guy, I think no matter what happens the rest of his career, I think he's the greatest goal scorer in the history of the NHL. And the reason why I say this is because of a couple of reasons. Number one, look at the era that we're playing in. This is not the 1980s. This is an era where it's an international global game. We've got Swedes, we've got Czechs, we've got a ton of guys who are competing against Ovechkin with a bunch of different styles. We have defensive trap systems, not quite like the Devils, but it is more of a tug and grab type of league, which Wayne Gretzky didn't have to deal with. And also the goaltending pads and all the equipment, it's bigger. Alexander Ovechkin has also defended differently during overtime, during the 3-on-3, during the 5-on-5, during power plays. He's defended differently. Guys come at him from different angles. Wayne Gretzky could just kind of weave around people, dart and go, and it was fine. And he could absolutely have point-blank shots on the goaltender. How many point-blank shots do you really see a superstar get during an NHL regular season? I'm an avid diehard Sabres fan. Jack Eichel might get 25 to 50 during a season. Wayne Gretzky got 100 minimum during regular seasons. And going back to my other point in terms of Wayne Gretzky, the point system, Alexander Ovechkin, and the reasons why he could be the all-time goal scorer, not only is it, needing help in terms of the power play, Alexander Ovechkin plays in a different era where guys are conditioned differently. They're on different sleeping patterns. Guys are sleeping at night more. Guys are on different nutrition patterns. They have their own nutritionists. They have their own training coaches. And then they have other things going on inside the walls of their hockey team, like the Washington Capitals are supplying for Alexander Ovechkin. I just think this guy, no matter what happens, I think he's the greatest goal scorer of all time. Much like I know Tiger Woods is not going to eclipse Jack Nicklaus in terms of the major record, but I think right now with 15 majors, Tiger Woods has already solidified himself as the greatest golfer of all time, and I've talked about that in a million podcasts, a million videos, etc. I think Alex Ovechkin is the best goal scorer of all time because of how you look at the era. You got to compare guys when they played, how they played, and who they played against. And there's never been a stretch of 15 years that's been tougher in terms of goal scoring than now. And of course, that trap system era of the New Jersey Devils with Scott Niedermayer, Scott Stevens, and Marty Brodeur. So hats off, Alexander Ovechkin. Congratulations on 700 goals. This guy is absolutely ridiculous. Best goal scorer of all time. I'm Mike Lindsley with Ryan W. Hanlon of Howard Hanna Real Estate here at the Syracuse Crunch Game. Make sure to hit me on Twitter at Mike L Sports, and make sure if you're buying and selling homes in Central New York, go with Ryan W. Hanlon of Howard Hanna Real Estate. Howard Hanna Real Estate umbrella, RyanWHanlon.com.